Good morning, friends, and welcome to our show. My name is Alka,
My name is Rhea, and
and welcome
welcome to
to
our
our
show.
show. So today, I can't believe, first of all, it's Wednesday. Oh my goodness, where does the weeks go? And it just flies by. But we're having fun, and so thank you for always tuning in. And we're always bringing like great content. Yesterday we talked about my book, and today we're going to be talking about Rhea's book. And so today we're going to be talking about chapter 3, right, Rhea? How
Yes.
you got started in real estate. Now, back in 2008, when the crash, the housing market, was, the crashed, a lot of people lost their money. A lot of people lost on their investments. And it was very interesting how you pivoted. Now, back also in 2009, when you made your first investment on a condominium, do you want to expand on that a little bit so the viewers can just get an insight of how
Sure.
you made that pivot?
Um, well, it was not really a pivot for me. It was more of having, we're talking about my first property here. So it was my first primary home. And I bought it because it was like the American dream of owning your own home. So I bought it because I loved it. I bought it because it was gorgeous. It was overlooking the Christina River, and I have the east side, which is I would see beautiful sunrises every day. So
Mm.
I bought it because of, getting the American dream, owning the primary home.
I think that is beautiful. And you know what? I purchased my first investment, and it was a condo as well, back in 2004. And it was gorgeous. It was downtown Toronto. And it was a beautiful condo. That location, it was on Front Street. So if anyone in Toronto knows, Front Street is a prime location, is where the TIFF light box is. So the condo was so accessible to, like, anywhere in downtown that I wanted to go, subway access, a lot of different kind of ethnic restaurants from different ethnicities. So it made it so much beautiful, and it just made it um but just like you said in the book, you got so attached to your condo, and I too, when I sold it. So I purchased it in 2004, and then I sold it. But it was just the fact that, oh my goodness, sometimes it's that sentimental, we become sentimental. And I don't know about you, Rhea, but I am very sentimental to like so many things, and I get attached. And if I'm attached to something, then it's very hard to let go. So also then, what you mentioned, that after you decided to, you sold that your condo, but you were also,
Well, I didn't sell my condo. I
but you
still
rented
own
it.
my condo.
You
Yes,
rented
I
it. Yes.
still own my condo today as a great example, a great story. I owned it for almost 10 years now. So
Oh,
so I would like for us, since I didn't really realize that your first primary home is also a condo, there are benefits, there's pros and cons of owning a condo. So let's try to dig in more about condominium. So I'm gonna share with you why I bought the condo in 2009. um, so for me, I was living in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, and I bought it. I bought the
mm,
condo because it was close to my work. It was 5 minutes drive to my work. So that's the number one, was the location. I just want to be very close. I don't want to travel, 1 hour going to work and coming home from work. So number one was location, proximity to work. Number two, why I love the condo, because I have the 24/7 concierge. So then I have this mailman, the concierge who would take care of everything. They would, have the packages, mails ready for us. If there's any visitors, they would greet the visitors and then they would let them sign in. So the concierge was another benefits of having the condo. Number three was the amenities. We have a pool. We have a hot tub. We have a great room. So if you want to hold your parties for 60, 75 people,
Yes.
you can have this great room for you and your guest and family, and you can reserve that for the whole day. It's like going out on a hotel or a great restaurant and celebrating. But this one is part of your condo, so it's free. You just have to bring in the food. And then they have male and female restroom, which I love. Number four thing why I love condo is I live in the East Coast, so we have a lot of snow here. So the building take care of the snow removal and the upkeeps of beautifying the property. Number five, why I love the condo, because there's little maintenance. There is a property, maintenance guy in the building. So if I have any problems, we just call the property manager in the building and they take care of our problem in the unit. So those are just some of the reasons why I love the condo. And that's what, several reasons why we bought the condo in 2009. What about you, Alka? What made you purchase your condo?
Well, it was my first investment and I was looking to get, I had a 9-to-5 job and I was working downtown. I was working in a store, but I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. It was just, 9-to-5, I was commuting by train. And, I wasn't passionate about what I was doing, but it was a job, just over broke, as they say. But I was looking for a way out and how I can truly leverage my life. I can truly leverage on creating, actually planning for that time freedom. So when that day came and I was looking to transition out of my 9-to-5 job, then I would have made some profit, made some income of some kind in my first investments, and which was a condo, and it was a perfect location. Like you just mentioned, location used to be prime, and where my condo was on John Street was in the core of heart of the downtown core. It was a prime location because, as I mentioned, the TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival has TIFF Lightbox. I was right there, so the location was prime. And so when I sold my condo back in 2014, then obviously I made profits, but obviously it was sentimental because that was my first. But I agree with what you're saying. Being in a condo, there were so many benefits because you don't have to take care of the snow. You have the maintenance, the crew, everyone is there, so everything's just provided for. And so that's the reason. Yeah, so that's the reason why I wanted to just get into, just buy a condo, just buy my first investment, see how that feels. And then if I wanted to transition as a real estate investor, then I know what I can, I had a plan, and then I can work backwards to say, well, I had my first investment in a condominium, and now how then I can plan for my next course of action. So I think that's just wonderful. Yeah.
Now, there are also downside for all our listeners who are watching this. There are also downside to owning a condominium. So I'm going to share them with you. I didn't realize that, when I purchased it, I just loved it. I didn't care about homeowners association fees. Now, the downside one of the downside of owning a condominium is the homeowners association fees. There are fees you have to pay to keep up the elevators. We have 3 elevators in the building. We have a concierge. We have a security guard that rounds about on our parking lot several times a day. There, we have a pool, we have a great room, we have hallways, we have the lawn and the snow companies that we have to pay out. So every year, our homeowners association fees was going up. So that's one of the downside, the constant, of owning a condominium is the homeowners association would go up. You'd expect it to go up. The second downside of owning a condominium is when you're trying to Airbnb a condo or do an Airbnb, number one, you have to ask the board if you're allowed to do an Airbnb. In my condominium, in my building, we are not allowed to do an Airbnb because the people that own the condominiums there do not want to see a lot of guests, traffic, unknown faces in the building. So before you buy a property, you have to make sure if the board allows for Airbnb. Third, why there is a downside to owning a condo is the rent, long-term rental. So if you're planning to do a long-term rental, you also would need to check your board to see if your unit can be rented, because not all condos would allow long-term rental. Because I left after 3 years of living in the condo, so the condo was built in 2007. We bought it in 2009. And when we bought it, there were still, the builder owned it, and we bought it directly from the builder. So there were several units that were still vacant. So we stayed there for 3 years. We left after 3 years to move to Pennsylvania. We rented that out. So I was one of the, you call it grandfathers, right? So during that time, it was easy for me to switch from a primary home to a rental apartment, to a rental condominium, because not a lot of people were renting out their condominium. A lot of the owners were living and are still living in the condominium. Now, as years go by, the building will be fully occupied. The builder will now transition to the homeowners, to the owners of the condominiums of the building. So when that happens, now you have a board. So the board would make sure that the building is majority owned, and the people living there are owners and not renters. So they will restrict to the number of rental units that's within the building. So because I was grandfathered in early, my apartment, my condominium was allowed to be a rental unit. Nowadays, currently, they do not allow any more rental units. So it has to be grandfathered in. So that's one of the downsides of having a condominium. And for the fourth one, this happened to me in 2012 when we tried to sell it. So with the housing crash in 2008, the housing prices continued to go down, no matter if we paid religiously to our lender, to our bank, because majority in the US were suffering from the housing crisis. People were losing their jobs. Several condominiums and houses in the neighborhood were unable to pay their mortgage. So because they were unable to pay their mortgage, number one, either the unit or the house would go into foreclosure. Number two, the owners would file for bankruptcy. So as you can see, as you can imagine, a lot of properties and units in the building were getting foreclosed. Why? Because people could not afford to pay their mortgage. And number two, people could not afford the homeowners association. So with that, our condo's value went down, even if we were paying it religiously. So with that said, the pricing of your unit will be affected by the other units in the building. So that's one of the things you also have to be aware of when you're buying a condominium. Your property's value will be affected by the surrounding condominium and by the surrounding neighborhood prices.
Definitely. And you mentioned Airbnb, and well, the board of seems that the board is very strict. If not back then, but now they're becoming very strict as to how you can really position your unit. So you've got to take permission, and it seems like you've got to take permission for everything. They're just getting strict about so many things, what you're allowed, who can really come into your unit or in the building. So you've got to take permission. But how much was the homeowners, the home ownership that you had to get? So if anyone's looking to like maybe purchase a condo, how much would the home ownership be on a monthly?
So for the condominium, our condominium is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with 2 deeded parking space. The square footage is 1,100. Now the homeowners association depends on the square footage of your unit. So with ours, we have 1,100. So when we bought it from the builder to entice the buyers, right, they will give you 1 year free of homeowners association. So during the 1 year ownership, we had 0 homeowners association fees. Now, during the second year and the succeeding years, that's when you have to pay. So when we paid on the second year, it was $299 per month for 1 year. And then it went up to $349. Now, currently, we pay $629 per month. It just increased from last year's price. So every year you would be expecting to pay, anywhere north. It's always going to go up. So currently we are at $629 and we have only 1,100 square foot of the condominium of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah, price increases just go up like every year. But what I liked is that when you talked about how so you rented your unit. If anyone is looking to like making their first investment, whether it be a condo, whether it be a home, what would you say will be the process that they would have to go to making their first investment? First time a beginner who's looking to getting into, say, apartment, who's looking to getting into a condominium, what is the process that's required for them to make on that investment?
So number one, if you're a beginner into this apartment space, you have to consider, what is your long-term goal? What is your plan? Because number one, I buy in my neighborhood right now because I'm a mother with 2 kids, and I was, before I was working as a physician, so my time was limited. So when you're a beginner, you may have your own job and you're doing this as a side hustle, I could imagine. So number one, choose your location, choose your backyard. Don't go too far away because then that would save you a lot of time. You can allocate that time for studying about apartments, and you can use that time to spend more on your properties beside you or just a few feet away from you. Number two, so look first. Number two is you've got to read books on apartments. There's so many things. Even up to now, I still have Black Swan. Black Swan are things that I know that I do not know. And I continue to invest in my personal development. So invest in your personal development. Read books about apartments because there are things that we have to know, not just doing the calculation, but knowing about the market, knowing about the rent comparables, knowing about the job growth, who are the big employers in town. So you, as a person that lives in your community, that wants to invest in your community, you would know if that's a great buy or not. So those are the 2 things that I could share with you when you are a beginner. So invest in yourself and invest in your neighborhood, in your backyard.
Exactly. Investing in yourself. And I always find that when it comes to when it comes to knowledge, we talked about this yesterday, knowledge is power. Knowledge of any kind, the more you feed yourself that information about anything. So today we're talking about real estate. So having the knowledge, doing your due diligence about a particular project, about a location, about the history and what you need to know about. You need to know about the history of that property, the data, the numbers. So you need to know everything about that. And that's what will make you a great investor. So whether it's your first time or your 10th time investing in that property. So Rhea, I love that, financial knowledge, because you talked about, when you made that loss, and so you decided to quickly learn and you took the steps to knowing, okay, I made the loss, but that loss was a learning experience. So every one of us, whether we made a loss or it's a mistake that we've made, is a learn. We'll learn by that. So financial knowledge is the key. And I think the more we get to know about, finance, unfortunately, it's not taught at school. I think financials should be part of the curriculum.
That is correct.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's slowly introduced, or it's just a minor topic. So what we can do as parents or aunts or uncles, right, is we slowly introduce it to our kids. Now, it starts with us. And if we are not knowledgeable yet on finances, then we have to take it upon ourselves to learn about finance. And it's also our responsibility to teach that to our kids, so that when they grow up, they're not going to have a hard life, and they're able to help the community by providing jobs to others and serving the community's problem.
Exactly. And that too. Solving the community's problem starts first of all with us. So I agree. It's going to be, the more children more adapt to, finance and financial literacy, I think it's going to set them apart, because, if you start them young, then that's how they're going to become, great adults. They're going to become more competent in, it doesn't matter which endeavor they get into, but, finance, knowing about money, knowing about that, home economics, how to run a home, that is too very important. So if you start a child in the right way and learning about, finance, then as they grow older, into adulthood, they don't get into any kind of problems. Then learning about, properties, learning about, crunching numbers in those properties becomes so much easier. But Rhea, you know what? I think that is so amazing as to what you have done and how you really navigated yourself into, when you came to the US, you purchased your first investment, a condominium, and how you really progressed to where you are today. So any final thoughts that you might want to share?
Yes. So in speaking of entrepreneurship in kids, my kids, George and Jaden, are about to launch their 3.0 apartment prescription kids book. We are in the process. Thank you. We're in the process of completing the apartment prescription kids book. So hopefully when we're ready to get it out there, you guys would support George and Jaden on their apartment prescription kids book.
Isn't that amazing? Well, you've heard it right there. And well, it's been really amazing conversation. And, Rhea and I, we can just talk about real estate the whole day, because that is what both of us do. As a real estate investors, is very important to, as you're getting into this space, first time investor, and you're looking and you're hearing from us as to what we're sharing with you, because we want to sort of implore knowledge of how, we've taken our knowledge of the past, our experiences so that, you know, you level up and you grow, whether in your personal life or in your business. And that's the key. And so, you know what? Same time, same place. We're going to see you. Rhea, we're going to see you tomorrow. Do we have a show?
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
we do every day, Monday to Friday. Alka and
exactly.
Rhea show.
Exactly. So we're going to see you tomorrow and same time, same place. So have a fantastic day and we'll see you. Take care,
Take care,
guys.
everyone. See you then.
Yes, see you.